Hey everybody, I want to welcome you out to the show today. We got a great interview lined up with Mike O. I definitely want to thank you all that have submitted tattoos. For those of you that have not done that, you can email me at soberontwowheels@gmail.com. 2 is actually spelled out TWO. It's been pretty cool to see some of the tattoos come across, and before we get started, we're going to go ahead and give you our submission for the week. All right, guys, so we got this submission today by a gentleman named Chris O. I really wanted to do this tattoo as a submission, man. Freaking awesome story. And, I hope you guys like it too. I actually had to write it down because it's a little bit long, the story behind it, and I didn't want to, miss any of the details that go with this story. So this tattoo was drawn by his niece. She was 12 years old. And, so September 20th was the 1-year anniversary of her passing. She passed at 12 years old, and she had battled cancer for 7 years. The niece drew this tattoo, and Chris decided to get it. They also had a tattoo fundraiser about 3 years ago, and it featured 3 pages of tattoo flash that was created by Chris's niece. And they had over 100 people line up to get a tattoo that was drawn by his niece, this is awesome. I mean, I think that this is probably got to be one of the best stories. Cool tattoo, and it means a lot to this guy. And the tattoo flash that she drew is actually still hanging in his buddy's shop. It's in Tuckerton at the Seaport Tattoo Parlor. So if anybody's local to that and wants to see some of the flash that was drawn by Chris's niece, stop in and check it out. All right, we're going to get back to our regularly scheduled program and our interview with Mike. But wait, I almost forgot. Messenger's Pig Roast, Saturday, October 8th. Blue Comets, Skip Pack, PA. Flyer is going to be posted here. Make sure you stop out, check us out. It's a great time, folks. If you leave there hungry, there's something wrong with you. You probably got a tapeworm. You might want to get that checked. So make sure you stop in and check that out. Also, don't forget, we have submissions, soberontwoWheels@gmail.com. 2 is actually spelled TWO. You can get in touch with me there as far as doing an interview and also for a tattoo submission. So thanks again. Get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Thanks. All right, everybody. So we have Mike O here today. I'm kind of excited to have him on board. He has been around me for, about 6-7 months right now.
Yep.
So, I don't know him super well. I know him well enough to do this show. He's got good qualities, outstanding character. I actually know the person he works for who will also back that up. He's actually working a program, and you know what? He rides. So he fits all the criteria that I need. He's also a really good dude. And, I've got to spend time with him, just one-on-one and have discussions with him. And I know that you're serious about it this time.
Yeah, so, absolutely. I have to be.
Right. So, Mike, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Just kind of, sorry, I keep futzing with my mic. Let's kind of get started on how you got here. We don't need to hear all the war stories, but, how old were you when you started really, drinking and doing your thing?
Well, so I grew up in Kensington, surrounded by the battlefield. Okay. You know what I mean? everyone had their own twist. And then my father bought a bar right in the heart of the neighborhood. He was a roofer, alcoholic. You know, every day after work, he'd be drinking, and I guess he loved it so much, you know, he wound up buying a bar. So I was surrounded by alcoholics at a young age. You know what I mean? So the alcohol was easy to get to.
Right.
So, you know, it wasn't like, not that I knew I had an addiction at such a young age, but, you know, it was just there, readily available, and, you know, it was, kind of felt normal because that's what everyone else was doing around me. You know what I mean? Had, you know, great parents. They both did very well with, you know, raising me and all. It's just that I guess my product of my environment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of, you know, started smoking cigarettes early, grabbing butts out of the ashtray and stuff like that. Didn't take until later in life to realize that I had an addiction. You know, like, I guess because I didn't just do little bits of things. I always wanted to do it all the way to the fullest.
Right. Well, plus, you know, when you're kind of surrounding yourself with that environment where you kind of see where everybody's doing it, so it almost looks normal.
Right. But, you know, I'd seen people in the hardcore end, and I always said to myself I'd never get to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, you know, I've seen people at their lowest, but never, in my mind, I thought I'd never get that bad.
Right.
But, you know, it led to that.
Right, right.
But, you know, I guess the main thing that, with me, that I've noticed is your surroundings. You know what I mean? The people you surround yourself with and where you're at. Mm. It's mainly the people you surround yourself with helps you with your addiction and with your sobriety.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
It's a big thing for me now, man.
Right. Well, so, you know, all right, so you started drinking early?
Yeah, drinking here and there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because the bar was right there, you know what I mean?
And then, when was it, like, how old were you when you kind of started doing drugs?
Started smoking weed at like 13.
Okay.
You know, and experiment with pills, you know, shortly after.
Yeah. You know, and it's, you know, for anybody out there that's watched these videos on a pretty regular basis, man, I think that you're going to start to see, like, a reoccurring timeline. You know what I mean? It seems to be, like, around that 12, 13, 14 time range that it starts to, I want to start, like, kick off. There you go. That's how I
freshman year of high school.
Yeah, I mean, you know, same thing with me. I was 12, I guess. This is the year that you go from 6th to 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, 8th to 9th, kind of for me.
Okay.
You know.
So, and then, all right. So, I mean, you know, you're smoking weed and stuff like that. So that's not really like hardcore, not super addictive. When did you start getting into the heavier shit?
So it was more or less, you know, most people say, like, you know, they don't look at weed as a gateway drug. The only reason that I kind of am on the fence with that is because it's a gateway drug in my eyes for it's where you're getting your weed. Because when the guy you go to get your weed from, yo, I have Xanax. Yo, I got perks. You know what I mean? So it's more or less who you were getting it from. You know what I mean? Yo, here, try some of these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of led to me, you know, and a couple of my buddies, you know, oh, you know, I got an extra $5. Let's grab 2 Xanax and see, you know, let's take a couple Xanax and smoke a blunt. Then you wake up like, whoa, what happened?
So when you were living in Kensington, though, because I know you're younger than me.
Yeah.
And then your dad owned the bar. Was Kensington already on the downhill?
So, yeah, it was.
Okay. So for the people out there that don't know, because we do have people that listen actually from other countries and stuff like that, which surprises the hell out of me, but thank you. Kensington is probably considered to be the battle zone of Philadelphia right now. It is the epicenter of the epidemic.
Absolutely.
And, you know, there's a reason why Dr. Oz, there's been a couple people that have actually went down there and done
specials,
like TV shows and stuff like that. I think they're what's the A&E show, the intervention or whatever. I think they even did something down there.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of lost souls that make it down there. And, also, unfortunately, a lot of people don't make it out.
Yeah.
So, when I see people like you that actually made it out, and I know there's a couple other of our friends from that area,
Right.
that made it out. I give you guys nothing but mad props, because that's I just wish, for the people that don't know the area, I could put it into words how crazy it is down there, but you just can't. Unfortunately,
You can't.
It's
You really can't.
it's got to be the most horrifying thing I've seen, drug and alcohol wise, anyway. So, okay, and then so after you got out of high school, did you turn on to other stuff?
Well, of course, you experiment in high school, doing all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't more like I needed it every day, but it was more of a recreational thing.
Okay.
But after high school, I was working all throughout high school, so the perks became a little bit regular. You know what I mean? Then, I got married shortly after, and my wife, I kind of enabled her into an addiction, and she would use the Percocet as like an antidepressant, because it was more of a mental thing for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really when my addiction kicked in, as far as drug wise goes. I'd already had addictions before that with gambling and sex, and
Well,
you know what I mean.
And it's unfortunate, man, but us people with addiction problems, we tend to it tends to spill over into almost every area of our. As you can see, we both eat well.
Yeah.
So
That
there's
was
another
thing.
you know what I'm saying? So like there's a multitude of different things out there, folks, that become addictions for people. And that's unfortunate, but I guess at that point you had somebody that bought into it, bought your bullshit, and
Yep.
co-signed your shit.
So then I started working 2 jobs, and the Adderall started taking the Adderall so I could work overnight and during the day, so I could sort of somewhat manage. And for a while I thought that I was a functioning addict, because my bills were paid, my rent was paid, I had my car, and everything was paid. But so in my mind it was okay to do meth. You know what I mean? Because it helped me go make money. And then, and in high school I always sold weed and stuff like that. So after that, I started selling everything.
Yeah.
So I was working 2 jobs and selling drugs. So I was really working around the clock. So the meth is what really kept me going. Before I know it, 6-7 years went by.
Yeah. Wow. And it's a shame, because you think you're doing the right thing, and that's how jacked up our minds are with addiction. We'll justify anything.
Oh yeah.
No matter how, like, and especially after you get clean and sober and you start looking at shit that you did and you go, what? I don't know how I justified that, but yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how this is going to ever change, but there needs to be a change with the misconception out there, because I fell into this as well, where if you don't lose your house, you don't lose your wife, family, job, that, hey, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not necessarily the case. You could still have a problem and have all those things.
Absolutely.
Because even when I got sober, I knew at that point that I was like, okay, man, I got a problem. But I was like, do I have a problem?
Right. Is it a full problem?
Right. Because I didn't lose my house and I didn't lose my job, and and I started selling that to myself. And then did I actually pick to help work me through the program at the beginning?
No.
It's like, dude, go to a meeting, sit down, shut up, listen. You know what I mean? He was hardcore. Wasn't the best sponsor at the beginning, but hey, you got to find the right person.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that I've actually had conversations with people, on my Instagram account
Okay.
about that. Whether it's something I post or something they post, and that's come up a couple times, and I don't know how that stigma is going to have to get squashed at some point. But I think right now, with the way the epidemic is running, it's going to start.
I hope so, because like I said, that was a big problem of mine. Like I said, I enabled my wife through her addiction.
Yeah.
She realized she had a problem early. Went away multiple times to go get help. But meanwhile, I'm on the other side, like, I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
I still got I still pay my bills.
Well, that's the part, right? Like, so you're going, well, dude, I'm hustling.
Right.
I'm paying my bills, man.
I'm working.
I got a house, got a car, I got everything. Yeah, so that's where, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's that cunning, baffling.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It'll sell you.
Yep, absolutely.
You'll be like, yeah, man, I'm good. I'm gold, baby.
Yep.
No, you're not.
But meanwhile, the people around me, even the people that I was, my clients that I was selling drugs to, yo, you're slipping, man.
Yeah.
You're not the same person you always were.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm still here, right? I'm good.
That's what, you watch those movies where they talk about, like, the dealers, should never be doing their own product.
Right.
And then there's the dealers that are really just dealing because, if I buy a pound of weed and I sell, 3/4 of a pound for what I paid for the pound, I get my weed for free, and then so
That's
on
how
and
it
so
started.
on. Yeah, those are the guys
exactly
that are
how it
like,
started.
I'm just trying to cycle my own shit, not trying to be a millionaire.
That's how it
And
started.
then there's the other guys that are like, nah, dude, I'm here for the money. I ain't
Right.
touching that shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Nah, so I feel you, man. I mean, I
That's
fell
how
in.
it started with the weed, man.
Yeah, I fell into that loop for a little bit. I mean, it was weed, but it wasn't, and plus I wasn't like, no, dude, I was just trying to get rid of enough to cover my lid, and that was it.
Right.
Like, I wasn't working a corner, nothing like that.
Right. No,
yeah.
well, I was working my phone. You know what I mean? It
See,
wasn't on
but
the corner.
back then it was pre cell phone, so I had to be.
I got
you know what I mean? Okay. So then at that point, your girl goes and gets help.
Yeah, my wife went away a few times.
Now, how long did it take before you decided to go get help?
It took me to get arrested.
Okay.
So once I got arrested, and my first week in the county, I don't remember because I just slept. I was up so long, and on such a wild run that my first 5 days in there, I just slept.
Right.
I'd wake up to nurses and all because that's when I found out I had sleep apnea as well. Man, they're snoring so loud and rocking the whole block.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Waking up to nurses and COs around me like, yo, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Leave me alone.
Right.
And then I went to court and, I realized that I was going to be going upstate. So in my time out of the county jail before, all my court dates, I went right back to it. It's in my mind, I got to stop soon. I'm going to be going away, so I might as well party it up now.
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't get caught again because it would have just made it worse.
Extended it.
Right.
Yeah, extended your sentence.
Yep.
Wow. So how long did you go upstate for?
I got sentenced to 18 months to 4 years. Well, it was a 2 to 4, but I got, it was my first offense ever. First time ever being locked up. Besides petty stuff when I was a kid, but
Right.
it sent me upstate. Got caught in Bucks County.
Okay.
If I would have got caught in Philadelphia, they said I would have got a much lighter sentence, more like probation instead of an upstate sentence. But that's when I got greedy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I went from funding my addiction to I need money.
Trying to bankroll a lifestyle.
Something like that.
Yeah.
More or less, I was lower in my life because my addiction had taken over.
Okay.
So it was more or less like, you know what? I could use this $1,000. You know what I mean? This $1,000 right around Christmas can go a long way.
Yeah.
You know, but
So then you go 2 to 4. You get out and you said 18 months.
yeah,
So you spent a year and a half.
yeah. 6 months was in the county. A year of it was upstate.
And then at that point, when you got upstate, did they have like an alcohol drug program up there?
So the worst part about my timing was COVID. So when I got upstate, everything was locked down. There was no movement.
So you were stuck in your cell?
I was in my cell 23 and a half hours a day. We got out for 15 minutes for a phone call and 15 minutes for a shower if your rotation got to you.
Okay.
If they were starting at the other side, you weren't getting out that day. You know what I mean? It was more, you got to wait till tomorrow. So if
Yeah.
it fell on Christmas, if it fell on whatever, someone's birthday, you couldn't call them. You know, you had to wait. So right then and there is when I learned a lot about myself. You know, you sit in a room
A lot of time to
23 and a
think
half
about
hours. Oh, yeah. Yep. Library wasn't open. You couldn't get many books.
Yeah.
You know, no drug and alcohol program. But towards the end is when it started to lighten up.
Okay.
You know, they were handing out vaccines left and right. It was more like, yo, if you get this vaccine, we can open up the prison. You can get main yard. You know.
Yeah, at that point, you're like, hell yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into.
room.
I don't want to get into the politics of it.
I don't need it.
But I didn't want to get it, and then when you know, because it wasn't that I'm an anti-vax or anything. It was just I wasn't real sure about it.
I agree.
And you know, at that point, then my employer, sorry, was like, dude, we're gonna start banging you $50 a week out of your paycheck if you don't get it. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Why? Because they justified it as it would be more of a healthcare cost
Right.
if you didn't. And, you know, in my mind, I'm like getting ready to fight it. And then I'm like, it's a private company. There's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
If you know, that's how your company's set up, that's how it is, man.
Right.
So, I mean, there was also, this is going to sound crazy, but I really, really wanted to see this Tool show. Tool was coming to Philly, and I had to see Tool because it had been a couple years since I saw him. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I'm not missing the show. And they were like, you have to have a vaccine to see the show.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm getting jammed on money. I'm not going to get to see the Tool show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go do it. And then, believe it or not, no lie, there was a person in my group that I bought tickets for that didn't get the shot and was gonna try to do whatever he could to get in.
Mm-hmm.
The day before the show, they were like, "Yeah, you don't have to have a vaccine to get in," and I was like, "You son of a bitch!" Didn't matter though, man. I mean, look,
Right.
I got COVID, and I was. Were you around when I got COVID?
No.
I got COVID. It kicked in New Year's Eve.
Okay.
New Year's Day, I woke up, dude. I thought I was gonna die.
Mm.
And then the whole week I had like a flu,
Okay.
real bad flu.
Right.
But I was like, it's the flu.
Right.
Problem was I was stuck in a hotel out in Pittsburgh
Oh, go figure.
and had to drive home. You know,
with the
4.5
flu,
hours.
With the flu
Yeah.
symptoms, yeah, man.
And then so as the week tapered off, I would have like a different symptom every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to like Friday, Saturday, I actually started feeling pretty good. I'm like, okay, man, I think I'm out of the woods here. And then Sunday I woke up gasping for air, couldn't breathe. And I had to go to the ER. And I thought I was going to die, dude.
Scary.
Yeah, my lungs were like shutting down. So, I mean.
I had caught COVID when I was in the county.
Okay.
And that's when, you know, I didn't really have many symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing was that I couldn't tell you what I was eating.
Yeah, man, that was
It was weird.
I think the only plus side of that was that I actually dropped a few pounds that like
Being
month.
a bigger guy, I
Yeah,
understand.
dude. I was like,
Nothing
All
has
right.
any taste, man.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
so I was like, no. All right.
Yeah.
But okay. So then, but at that time though, you obviously because you're on lockdown, so you're not getting anything. So you're basically just white knuckling it.
Yeah, just white knuckling it. You know, and then, like I said, once it opened up, that's when, you know, you realize, like, It might be harder to stay sober in here, man.
Would,
Stay clean in here.
when you were coming down though, and you were dealing with all that, were you having some real bad symptoms? Like, did anybody go, "Hey, man, we need to get this guy to like the infirmary or whatever"?
Wasn't much withdrawal. It
Okay.
was more or less exhaustion.
Okay.
You know, from ripping and running for so long. It wasn't. It was more of an uptowner, not a downtowner. You know what I mean?
No. I get you, and I don't. I didn't do speed or meth or anything, so I don't know what the come down is like. So that's why I was
So
asking.
there's not really a sickness to it. It's more mental.
So yeah, all right.
So it was a mental sickness.
Yeah.
Mental.
So like you're doing dope or whatever. You're
You're going to deal with more of a physical illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you got out though, what made you decide to continue to stay sober?
So luckily, my wife was still clean, when I came home. And we had our own place because, every time she went away and she would come back, it was, like I said, our surroundings, our environment.
Right.
She would end up going right back to using again. But luckily, when I got home, she still had the apartment. She was clean, which was huge. You know what I mean? It was huge for me.
Okay.
Because who knows, I could have went right back into it. I'm on parole. It doesn't matter,
Okay.
But I think that the time in that cell alone for a little bit of the time, it'll test you as a man.
Oh, for sure, dude. That's why I believe there's laws about like, you're only allowed to be in solitary confinement for X amount of time because it's mentally you break down. I don't remember the guy's name. Man. His last name is actually Bronson.
Okay.
It's not the actor though.
Okay.
It's this guy in London. He was like almost like a serial killer, or like he was supposed to be like the craziest, baddest dude in prison.
Okay.
They made a movie about it. Tom Hardy played him.
Okay.
And that dude was in solitary like years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it made him completely. He was already a whack job.
Right.
It like kicked it up a notch, but
Right.
okay. So then, obviously, your wife's there for you. She's got her shit together.
Yes. And work. I jumped into working with Smooth.
Okay.
And Double Talk. And that's when.
You know what, man? Those guys, I love them both to death. Sometimes they're hard to deal with.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But I love both of those dudes with all my heart.
Me too.
And I gotta say, that as much as they can be dicks sometimes, that's gotta be one of the best things about those guys is they're willing to take in guys off the streets that are willing to get clean and sober, stay clean and sober, and offer them work.
100%.
Offer them even a place to stay if they don't have it. I mean, those guys, especially Smooth.
Smooth hired me with an ankle monitor. Didn't know me. From a
Right.
bag in the wind.
Those guys live and breathe the program
100%.
because they,
Know where they came from.
right, but they'll go out of their way to help somebody as long as you are trying to do the right thing.
As long as you want the help,
The
they'll
minute
help
that
you.
you don't, they'll cut you off.
Seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah,
recently.
They'll definitely cut you off.
Yep, I've seen it recently.
And that's phenomenal, man, because I know like guys like you do that are just coming out, they they don't have opportunities, man. There's they can sit here all they want and talk about how there's jobs right now in our country, and there are, dude.
Yeah.
The problem is how many of those jobs are financially stable enough to have a roof over your head, possibly kids.
Right.
With the way prices of stuff are right now, $17 an hour working at Wawa is not going to you're not going to be able to afford to have a roof over your head, kids, car, you know. So when you get somebody like that that's willing to go out of their way to help you, to make to get put money in your pocket, to feed your kids, put a house or a roof over your head, you know, a vehicle to drive, that is freaking phenomenal. And I wish there was more people out there like that.
I agree. I mean, it's, like you said, it is hard nowadays, especially with children, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, I don't know how my wife kept the place. You know what I mean. But I came home right in the nick of time for us to be able to, have Christmas for my son.
Right.
You know, and and to keep our apartment. You know what I mean. It takes both of us to work.
Yeah.
For us to be able to, and that's how it's. My marriage started off. I'll work. You stay home with the kids.
Right.
And
I don't know too many people these days, dude, that can do that.
And
I
we
mean,
can't now.
in all
We
honesty,
definitely can't.
It's unless one of the spouses is crazy job. I mean, I make really really good money, dude, and I don't have any kids. But I make really good money, and I'm still like, paying my bills.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I obviously, the addiction part gets, the best of me sometimes, till this day.
I know.
You know what I mean? With like,
With a new motorcycle.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I know.
But, yeah, I know. But yeah, man, like I have to actually tell myself sometimes, man, like, oh, dude, step back.
If you catch yourself in time.
But yeah, well, with the bike though, that was a situation
I know.
I kind of didn't really have much of an option, but
That's what you tell yourself.
nah, yeah, yes and no.
Right.
I mean, when the guy tells you, yo, man, we can't get parts for your bike until May, and there's still months I can ride, I'm like, all right, dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna trade this in.
Right.
Okay, so what was it? Those guys that got you to start working a program?
So yeah, I got out in December, the beginning of December, and that's when I got in touch with Double Talk, and he's like, "Yo, come on, man, come hit a meeting with me." I'm like, I know he was. I always knew he was big, and with the AA scene and all. And I was like, you know what? Might as well. Let's give it a shot. What can
it hurt, man?
Right. What can it hurt? So I went and hit a couple meetings with him, and that's when he mentioned the club. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted me to come check it out. And I'll be forever grateful to him for introducing me to a lot of the guys. You know what I mean? To everyone, because I feel like it's a huge part of why I'm still sober, and that I've hit other AA, NA meetings.
Yeah.
Because I thought white knuckling it, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people out there. I actually have a friend of mine who is sober, but he doesn't go to any meetings and stuff like that. Never did. Probably I never will. I mean, I don't know. But the problem with that is, yeah, cool. You quit drinking or whatever. But did you really change your thought process? Because that's part of it, really, is the why you were doing what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And until you kind of tweak your brain a little bit and, correct your thinking, a lot of that's not going to change, man. So now that addictive behavior is going to just kind of go to something else that's, all right, well, I'm going to do this now. And, like,
You replace it with one thing.
yeah, man. I mean, it's weird too, man, because like I had an aunt that was in AA, big time, and I always looked at it as like, all right, well, you gave up going to the bar, but now you go to meetings all the time, so that replaced your bar, your social, and I always looked at that as like this negative thing.
Right. Okay.
Now though,
You understand.
that I'm older and wiser and I'm sober 8 years.
Congrats.
Thank you. I see why. And look, if you're going to give up something and move on to something else, as long as you're still working on yourself to correct those behaviors, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I knew a dude that used to be in my home group who, big dude like us, okay? And he got sober, and he traded drinking and doing drugs for the gym.
Okay. So
Now
there's a
dude's
muscle
jacked.
head. Yeah.
He's all,
Right.
I'm like, damn. I wish I could get that in my head.
Right. Yeah, what switch was that, man?
Yeah, because man, I'd like to find that switch, but you know, it is a lot about your surroundings, and you know, having these guys around you is a huge bump, because you know you have a lot of guys that have time, that work programs, that live it every day.
Right.
That's huge, man, to have that around you, and that's why I always say, like, this club is like sobriety or recovery on steroids.
So I remember another member had said that I feel like I was given a cheat code to sobriety.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me. And it still sticks to me, because it really does feel that way for me. You know, because I wasn't big into jumping into the AA/NA scene until recently. And until someone was pushing me, yo, get a sponsor. Get a sponsor, because the same person will use again.
But do you think, though, and this is kind of why, like, I wanted to pick your brain today about, like, coming on here, right? So, do you feel like you jumped into it more because you got to see what correcting all that does for you? Like, you got to see the benefits. You got to see the end game.
Absolutely. It's a big part of it.
Instead of being like a group of dudes that are around you that are fighting at the beginning. Now you have people around you, obviously, because you're still going to have people that are green in your meetings, right?
Yeah.
But your core group are all dudes that got their shit together, own businesses, have good jobs, you know.
What a wonderful example.
Right. Have great, like, kids, you know, families, blah, blah, blah. They're, you know.
They have what my end goal is, what I want it to be.
You know what,
I mean?
though? And that's awesome. But I saw a meme yesterday that was like, sometimes you need to take it. It's not word for word. So, but it was something like, you know, sometimes you have to take a step back and look and go, you're living the prayers that you prayed for.
That's deep.
So it's about having the gratitude of what you have now.
See, that's good for me, especially you just said that. I got the chills, man, because I'm fresh into it. I'm still struggling in a lot of ways, you know. And I keep, you know, I luckily have a great wife that, you know, I can talk to her about my situation, my feelings, whatever. And never been the type of guy to talk about my feelings, which that's strange for me.
Well, there you go. That's
know?
the whole, like, at the beginning, you get feelings that you,
Right.
yeah.
Where'd they come from?
Yep.
A way to have to talk about them.
Yep.
But, you know, and it's good that you just said that, because I'm struggling in certain areas, and I need to be more grateful for where I am and what I have.
Yeah, man.
And that's so true, man.
And you gotta not get caught up in the whole comparing your recovery to somebody else's.
Right.
Just like, you know, for normal people that don't have a, you know, problem or whatever, they do the, like, you know, competing with the Joneses, I think they used to call it, right? Like, oh, my neighbor's got a brand new car, I got to get a brand new car. Look at my buddy's bought a brand new house, I got to get a brand new house. You can't do that. You'll drive yourself insane.
Right.
And I still need to take time every once in a while to go, hey man, look, I'm grateful for what I have right now. You know, because when I was back in the day, I would pray that, like, I would get my shit together and feel mentally okay. And, you know, maybe have a nicer house and live in a nicer neighborhood. And, you know, I'll even go farther back where I'd be like, man, I hope I meet a nice girl that I can marry and settle down with and stuff. So like, don't take any of that shit for granted.
Right.
Those are things you're living right now. Stuff that you prayed for in the past.
Yeah. It's so true. To take a step back and look, like, you know, coming out of prison, I had a reset button on everything.
Yeah.
Especially finances. You know what I mean? But every time I bring this up to my wife, you know, she tells me, stop, look, bills are paid, rent's paid, you know, got the car, you know, got the bike.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
How big is that you don't have to shuffle money around to go, hey, I'm going to pay this month, and next month I'll pay that?
Right. Yeah, you said that on the last,
dude,
and it struck a bell with me as well.
That's
but, you
huge,
know,
man.
It's just, you know, we're broke, but we're the good broke.
Yeah.
For now. You know what I mean?
You're broke, but you know what? I'm not sitting here stressing about, oh my God, I got to pay this, and it's going to, if I don't pay this, my credit score is going to tank, and blah, 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 you know?
Right.
I mean, dude, look, you'd have hit me 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have been like, credit scores, whatever, dude. You know, now that I'm older and I got my credit score back in...
And you're sober.
Yeah. And I got in decent, still not good, but it's in decent shape. You know what I mean? And I'm not paying 29% interest rate on something or whatever. So you're now you have a home group.
Yes.
You got a sponsor.
Yes.
You're doing meetings once, twice, 3 times a week, whatever.
So I do hit this meeting every week, of course.
Okay.
And you know, occasionally, you know, take a ride with someone.
Yeah. Those are always cool, man.
Yeah.
When we get on our bikes and just go to a different meeting.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Because it's cool to see how people, you know, different areas do different things, or you know, it's always cool. I always liked that. That was always fun for me.
Yeah.
Especially when at the beginning, because it was like, you know, I had this weird like phobia when I would go to meetings, like that everybody was looking at me and all that, and I'm like, you know, later on I realized, dude, nobody gives a shit.
I remember. Yeah,
You know
because
what I
like
mean?
I said, I'm still fresh into the scene.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Nobody gives a shit, dude. They're all there for the same reason. Doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter how you're dressed. They're all there for the same reason.
And I like mixing from NA to AA.
Yeah, me too.
Because
it's a different vibe.
I know I'm an addict. You know what I mean? But to go see, you know what I mean? And you never know what you're going to learn.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, now at this point, how long you got?
So I'm coming up on 2 years.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, October 13th will be 2 years.
And is this the longest stretch of sobriety you've had?
It's the only stretch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, this is your first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got you. All right,
Yeah,
cool,
man.
man. So, as far as riding, though, you've only been riding for
6-7 months. What, since March?
okay. And then before that, did you ride anything?
It's mini bikes, you know what I mean?
Right.
Quads. Something, nothing like a motorcycle.
So you've never rode before. You weren't really into the culture. What made you just go, I want to do this?
The club.
Okay.
You know, being around, it's just seeing how the environment is around everyone. You know what I mean? How each person is, and like I said, you know, I always had that, you know, riding mini bikes and stuff like that. But you know, I always thought in my head, if I get on a motorcycle, I'm going to kill myself because of my adrenaline, my addiction. I'll be addicted to speed. You know what I mean? I was already a speed freak as it was.
Yeah.
But I love it, man. I absolutely love it. It's just it's like a therapy session every time I get on that motorcycle, man.
Yep, for sure.
I had 99 problems, but I went for a ride and forgot about all of them.
I definitely use it as my therapy sometimes. You know, like if I have a bad day at work or whatever, I just want to get on the bike. You know, whether it's just for an hour or something. I did it just the other day. I'm like, you know what, man? I just want to get on the bike for an hour. And just, you know, kind of, it's that whole, I think part of it is that you have time to think. You're seriously focused on what you're doing. So you kind of forget about all the bullshit for a while because now you're focused on, okay, I'm watching this, I'm watching this, I'm looking at my mirror. All right, is this guy behind me going to hit me? No, okay, cool. All right, now I'm coming up to an intersection. This guy, okay, this guy's going to stop. I can go. I mean, it's this constant battery of decisions as you're riding,
Judgment,
and
decisions.
it takes. So now, all the bullshit that I was worried about or thinking about during the day
It's gone.
is gone because now I'm focused on getting home to your wife and kids or whatever,
Right.
and going, you know what, I got to get home safe, and now I got to focus on this.
Right.
Plus, it's that whole like complete freedom feel.
Absolutely.
That somebody that doesn't ride, you just can't explain it to them.
You can't. You really can't. It's just it's a great feeling to be in the wind, you know?
It's you know, I love seeing the new guys come in. You know, I love seeing the new guys start to see or understand what this is about. But I also like to see the people that are coming in new, like yourself, that don't have a lot of clean time. Because, you know, well, part of it is that it reminds me of myself, right? Because I actually I started hanging out with the club. I was only a month sober.
I remember you telling me that.
So back then you had to have a year sober before you, actually I think it's still the same.
It is.
You got to have a year sober before you can even move on to any next steps. And, you know, for me, I think that's what made me want it more, was because I had to spend all that time and that. But you know what? That was a good thing because it really let you see all the angles of the club that hey man, do you really want to be here? Do you really want to do this? You know, I think a lot of people sometimes in clubs, and I'm not going to get into protocol and stuff like that, but I think that there's a lot of times where people, they like the idea of being in a club, but don't understand what it either means to be in the club or what it takes to earn that patch. You know, there's a lot of people out there that you know, watch TV and think it's cool and don't
dress the part.
but they don't want to actually like put the work in to get to that where you get all that. And that's, you know, it's a shame, man, because I've met a lot of nice dudes, great people, but they just didn't make it for whatever reason.
Right.
This isn't for everybody. You know, it takes up a lot of your time, some of your money. It's not cheap to be in a motorcycle club. And, you know, but it's worth it at the end. So I know you're still going through your prospect stage. And I think at the end, you know, maybe later on after you've put some time in and you get and you make it, if you make it, we'll bring you back and we'll do a comparison.
Nice.
Of, you know, how you were prior,
right,
to how you feel now. Because I think that actually will be cool for people out there that don't know to see what it looks like. And, you know, it'll be cool. You know, I hope that you get it and you know, you see now the impact that it has on not only you.
It has a huge impact on me.
But also your family.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you were just talking about your kid. Right? And being able to have, I know just yesterday was his birthday, right?
The Friday.
And then
we celebrated it yesterday.
You got to spend time with your kid, man.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to do that or whatever before.
No, I missed it. Yeah, I missed it before.
So, I mean, to me, man, like, that's huge. And, you know, that alone right there should be enough for it to click, to be like, all right, look, I can't go back doing what I was doing.
Yeah, there's, you know, I know people say it all the time, but, you know, there's no way that I'm going to turn around, you know, make a U-turn on my sobriety. You know,
yeah.
It's just,
well,
I've learned too much about myself, you know.
Right. But you know what, man? We've all heard a lot of people say that.
Right.
The key is, sticking to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Putting tools in your toolbox.
Like your video last week.
Really,
Yeah.
I mean, and like when those moments come, because they will,
Mm-hmm.
where it might, test you, you'll be in a position to pull that tool out of your toolbox and be like, I'm not going back.
So I'm still fresh into it, man. So I still get, I get tested
Yeah,
on a daily,
I
weekly
know.
basis.
And, sometimes, having people around you and seeing the end game
Mm-hmm.
isn't enough sometimes.
Right.
And that's where working a program, doing your step work, having a home group, going to meetings regularly,
Mm-hmm.
is gonna help you out with that.
Right.
Because I know especially when new guys that come in, right? I'm not talking about the club, but I'm talking about like the rooms.
Yeah.
They hit a point where they start to become gung-ho about it.
Mm-hmm.
They're in.
Right.
And then I've seen it where those guys will all of a sudden they don't come to a meeting and then everybody's worried about the dude. You know what I mean? So think of it this way. If you're out on the streets and you're running and gunning with your pack
Mm-hmm.
and you don't show up one day, do you think those guys are going to get worried and make phone calls and be like, where's this dude at?
No, man. You got a point. Whoa. Yeah, you have a point there.
Think about it.
It's true. Never really thought about it.
Those people that you're sitting at a bar with or hanging out on the streets with, doing whatever you're doing, that you think are your buddies and all that, when you're not part of that group anymore, they're like, okay.
Yeah. Find another one.
People in the rooms, people in this club, your sponsor
Mm-hmm.
are all going to be worried and go, where you at, dude? What's going on? Why
So-
are you not doing this?
2 weeks ago, I set an alarm. After I got done work, I went home to take a little nap before I go to my group, or before I go to the meeting. And I set my alarm, but I set it for the AM, not the PM.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the meeting was over, I got a call from Carp, actually.
Yeah.
Yo, man, you all right?
Right.
Right away. Yeah, you missed the meeting. I was like, yeah, I slept through my alarm. But it just, to prove your point right there. Right away.
Right.
Right away, as soon as the meeting was over. I mean, minutes after.
And that's part of the process, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the process of you as a newly sober or newly clean person,
Mm-hmm.
getting the whole, hey man, there's people out there that actually give a shit.
Yeah. They certainly do, man.
So, with that being said, man, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you feel like you need to bring up?
Not really, man. I think we covered a lot of it. And I just, I want to thank you because these videos have been helping me.
Right on, man.
I watch every one of them faithfully every week.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And when I didn't see one last week, that's why I had to contact you. You know. But
Yeah, man. I that was the rough week for me,
Right.
and to not have a guest on was like, oh man, because I actually do care about this show, and I do put a lot of thought into this show
And effort.
And effort.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys get to see the end product, but you don't get to see the shit that I have to do to get this together.
right.
And I am hoping that there's people out there that are watching this right now that are in other clubs, sober clubs, other riders out there that are sober, that might be interested in this. And like I said before, man, if you're not from my area, it doesn't matter. Still email me, soberontwowheels@gmail.com. Get with me, man. We'll set up a Zoom. I can do it. You could be sitting in your house as long as you got like a laptop or a phone, and we can put Zoom or whatever program on it. we can do a teleconference, and you don't have to be in the same room with me. I mean, obviously, it's been this way because I got enough local people, but I do want other people outside of my area to reach out to me. I do want to hear from other people. I want to hear somebody. It's in Texas, what it's like to be in a sober club out there. I want to hear somebody in California, what it's like to be in a sober club out there, or independent rider, and what the scene's like out there. Is there a lot of people out there that ride that are sober that you hang out with? I want to hear all that
questions, man.
Yeah, like I mean, I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of people outside of our area that are in clean and sober clubs.
It's amazing.
Whether it's been via travel or going to conferences and stuff like that we used to do back in the day. But I want you guys as the viewers to experience some of that and get to see some of that and get to see the different personalities and the different types of groups out there. And even for the independent guys, man, I want what's it like for you to you got a bunch of guys that show up at that ride, that come to your Tuesday night meeting. I just want to hear from other people. So with that being said, man, sober on 2wheels at gmail.com, hit me up. Also, I do need more tattoo submissions. I have a couple more lined up ready to go, but I do need more of them. So if you'd like to have your tattoo featured on the show, please reach out to me. Email it to me, and we'll get it on, and we'll feature it on one of our shows. And man, I appreciate you coming out today, and good luck in the prospect and phase of your life. And I know you're gonna keep rolling with the sobriety part, dude.
Yeah,
you got good people around you.
That I said, or anything that I said, I just hope it reaches one person, helps someone.
It's all that matters, man. Just like in our rooms, dude.
Yep. Because you never know what people say are gonna help you. Better understand it. You may not understand it your own way, but someone else says it a different way.
Right.
And that's my very first meeting that happened for me.
And this episode today was more about the recovery sobriety part of it. Not that much on the riding part, because you're really new to it.
Right.
Okay. So what? You know what I mean?
I am in a lot of your videos, though. Your shorts that you have.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, though, is like, I didn't want this to be a sobriety show,
right,
or a recovery show. I wanted it to have the angle of, we are clean and sober riders. There's thousands of us out there.
Right.
But every once in a while, the conversation's going to tilt one way or the other.
Right.
I don't have a format, folks. I shoot at the hip, dude.
It's all natural.
I don't have any cue cards. I'm not reading anything. I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be natural, just flow conversation. You get to see a snapshot of conversations that I have with people that I'm friends with.
Right.
It comes off more natural that way.
Absolutely.
That's why, hey, look, dude, I don't have the perfect intros, and I don't have... That's not, look, man, maybe down the road, okay? But right now, I feel like it's a better fit, just shooting from the hip, man.
I agree.
So, thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
I will see you all next week, and if you have not done so already, please like and subscribe to the videos so you can see the other interviews that we've had on the channel. And I want to thank you all for stopping by, and we'll see you next week.